Hello and welcome back to the channel everyone. My name is Sam. In today's video I want to talk about the topic of self-improvement and more specifically about how self-improvement can fit into a path of spirituality where we try to discover our own true nature. The topic of self-improvement is a very interesting one, I think. For a lot of us, self-improvement is sort of a primary motivator in our life. A lot of our structures in life, our goals, what we try to accomplish, is sort of directed towards improving ourselves, towards getting better. And me personally, I can very much relate to that instinct. I remember when I was younger, self-improvement was pretty much the whole meaning of my life. Specifically, I remember when I first moved away from home, started university, and was sort of trying to become my own person, that I specifically wrote down a list of all the attributes I would like to have. I wrote down what kind of person I wanted to be. I defined how I wanted to be around other people. I defined my goals. I defined what my anxieties were and how I was supposed to overcome them. I made it my mission to become as powerful, as successful, as great, basically, as I could be. And I don't want to diminish this project. I can certainly see that there is value in trying to improve yourself, in trying to get better. Looking back, there's no doubt that I got meaning out of that experience. It drove me, it structured my life. And certainly, compared to the phases where I didn't have that sort of structure, where I didn't have that ambition to improve myself, that was certainly preferable. But obviously, that wasn't the whole story. This obsessive need to improve myself, to get better, to accomplish more, eventually was something that I suffered from greatly. It felt incredibly restricting to never have a relaxed social interaction. There was always this sort of projection going on of thinking about how I wanted to come across, what I wanted to be like, trying to be not afraid, trying to be confident. Almost every moment of my life at that time had sort of this background intention of getting better. Some of that was probably also driven by the fact that I was competing as a martial artist at the time. And in that setting, the goal is very clear: become a better fighter, outperform others, get more accomplished, develop more skills, and so on. And as I said, I certainly can see the value in that. Compared to drifting around aimlessly, feeling depressed, feeling sorry for yourself, that sort of state of mind is certainly preferable. But it was also clear to me that there was something missing. I was out of balance, no doubt. More and more, this aim of becoming better became a sort of prison for my own mind. Less and less I enjoyed myself, and I felt quite alienated a lot of the times as a result. And looking back now, which is the point of this video, I can see that I made a crucial mistake. At that time I was quite identified with this body-mind you see in front of you right now. My aim in life was sort of to perfect this thing, make it better, make it function better, make it accomplish more. But I never dared to investigate the basic confusion that was at the heart of this aim. I didn't ever question if this is really all that I am. My motivation to improve myself was very clearly driven by my own egoic desires. It was only later that I discovered that there is an alternative, and today I want to explain this alternative to you. So instead of making this mistake of thinking I'm this limited body mind and therefore trying to become as best as I can as this limited body mind, we have to take a different starting assumption. See, the issue with what I was describing earlier was that I was trying to put the cart before the horses. So let's fix this mistake. Let's move the cart to its actual rightful place. What I mean with that is that we first have to recognize what we truly are. We first have to understand what our actual true nature really is. And by doing that, we discover that what we essentially are is not this limited thing. What we essentially are is this wide open, space-like, dimensionless awareness. It is sort of a crystal clear perfection that we are in our essence. And when we recognize that, a great relief comes over us. We see that all of our attempts to perfect ourselves were futile, were really, in some sense, wasted effort. We realize that we were trying to polish a mirror that was already perfectly clear. Our essential nature of awareness was already perfect the whole time, but because we confused ourselves with a limited body mind, we tried to reach perfection in the realm of the body mind. Meanwhile, we overlooked this essential perfection, which can't get any better, that is at our center. All of a sudden, this compulsive need to improve, to reach goals, to accomplish more, to get more efficient, to get more powerful, more beautiful, whatever it is for you, it goes into the background and it might even fade away. These needs, they diminish. We see them for what they are. We see that nothing we could ever do could ever essentially make us better than we already are. Now, to some of you, this sounds dangerous. You probably think, well, if I realize that I'm already perfect, what does that mean? Do I then all of a sudden neglect myself totally? Do I not care about anything anymore? Do I not want to be better in my relationships, at my work, athletically, whatever it is? Do I just drop all of that all of a sudden? Does that become irrelevant and meaningless? These are good questions, and I can tell you that while these are valid concerns, in the end, they turn out to be unjustified. You see, sometimes we have this assumption that if we realize that we are already perfect essentially, all our motivation to improve, to care for the world and ourselves is gone. That is not true. If we truly recognize what we are essentially, this crystal clear space-like awareness, we also realize that this awareness includes all of the world. It includes this body-mind you see in front of you. So this realization of our true nature is not something that takes us away from the world. It is not something that lets us wash our hands and say, we have nothing to do with this anymore. On the contrary, we actually find that the world, including our own body-mind, is more intimate to us than ever before. We see that the world, all our perceptions, everything it includes, is closer to us than anything could ever be. We are essentially one with it. There is no separation. And from this realization, a sort of love and joy naturally comes forth. We find peace. We see beauty everywhere all around us. It's a complete shift. And what happens to the body mind that you previously identified yourself with is not that it gets neglected. On the contrary, new ambitions come forth, new goals, new motivations. A new motivation arises to express this beauty, this perfection which you found in yourself. So unlike before, where we sort of had this neurotic, egoic attempt to always get better, improvement is then something that just arises naturally. Our body-mind then is not the sort of sculpture that we have to form to perfection. Instead, our body-mind becomes an instrument of this essential perfection that we already are. Our lives can become expressions of this perfection which we found in our essence. And surprisingly, as a result, the self-improvement that we always sought just comes about naturally. We see that we can become more motivated to improve our skills, not in order to accomplish some sort of artificial standard which we set for ourselves. No, this new motivation comes from the fact that there is joy, there is love for what we do. There's this clarity which naturally transfers over into all our actions. Instead of seeing our actions as something that needs to be perfected in of itself, we see instead that our actions can be expressions of the great wisdom and beauty of our true nature. And we no longer need to interfere. This process, if we only let it, happens all of its own. Goals, motivations that arise from this understanding don't have this sort of neurotic undertone. If the desire arises now to get better at something, it doesn't arise anymore as a result of this limited entity which thinks it needs to get better. Instead, motivations can now arise from a love for existence itself. And looking back now over how this body-mind has changed as a result of this understanding, it's truly incomparable. It is amazing to see how all the fears and anxieties I used to have were transformed, how my relationships got better, how I have so much more peace in my life, how I can be more focused and motivated at work now that this neurotic separate self was seen to be an illusion. And all these things are great. It is beautiful to see all the ways in which my life seemed to get better. but I can't take responsibility at all. I still value this sort of self-improvement, but now I see it as a beautiful side effect of this understanding of my true nature. It is no longer a goal in of itself, and if this unfolding continues to enrich my life in this way, well, I gladly take it. But there are no more expectations about that. What is needed is only a faith, a surrender to our true nature, and to allow it to shape ourselves in the way that is appropriate for each situation. I hope you found this interesting, and let me know what your own experiences are with this need for self-improvement and how understanding your true nature of awareness has maybe affected that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you here next time.